What's up, guys? Welcome back for another one. I got something I want to get off my chest, something I've been meaning to ask you guys. Um, I had a conversation with a close friend of mine the other day, and he has a Street Bob, and he recently also acquired another Dyna of a different model. Um, and he had a really good deal on the bike, really nice bike, and in talking to him, he told me he's selling the bike. And I was curious. I was like, why? You got a great deal, do your thing. And his response was, anytime he had more than one bike and he was building it up, he always ended up with two of the same bike. And that really got me thinking, am I making the same mistake? Let's talk about it. So those of you who follow the channel know I drive a 21 Road King Special and a 22 Street Bob 114. I've been building them up for a little while now, and it really got me thinking in looking at the two bikes. I feel like, aesthetically anyway, we're pushing toward the same look here, and I imagine that happens to an extent because we all have our preference when it comes to windshields, grips, floorboards, stuff like that. But I guess my question is, do I just keep going on this path, or should I be looking into making this more of, say, a performance tourer in respect to what the Street Bob is becoming on its own, right? I talk about using the right tool for the right job, and certainly that applies to an extent, but we're also talking about Harley-Davidson culture. And as you guys know, one thing Harley culture is famous for is taking a bike, chopping it up, and turning it into a different kind of bike. And I mean, something beyond the scope of what it's designed for, across those lines. So that's just something that kind of stuck in my head after having that conversation, and I'm struggling with it a little bit to an extent. Don't get me wrong. I love the way my Road King looks. I specifically chose this bike because of the flexibility of what you can do to it, not even from a building standpoint, but just as far as taking the windshield on and off and riding it without a windshield, or riding it with a batwing fairing. The jack of all trades, right? The king of the baggers. And I'm sure that's going to start a whole nother conversation in itself. But hey, I said what I said. We can take that up at another time. You can't have a road glide or a street glide without it looking like a Road King, right? I digress. So, like I said, that's why I chose this bike over the other touring models, because I was looking for a touring model. And now that I have the Street Bob and I'm building it up, I see myself doing the same things. And I have a background in riding other motorcycles, dirt bikes. I was big in mountain biking for a while, and all of that reflects in the choices that I make when I pick my parts, right? And that pretty much sums up the performance push right now in the Harley-Davidson world. So that's why people got moto grips and T-bars and stuff like that. There's a benefit to that, and one thing I like to do is make my bikes better in all aspects, outside of looks. I mean, people naturally gravitate toward the looks, and that's all subjective, but I want to make any motorcycle I own not necessarily something different than what it was, but the best version of itself, right? So that means better suspension, a little more power when it needs more power, things that affect the rider triangle, floorboards, floorboard height, bars, and what kind of bars you chose, right? If you look at the club style, performance style, what people are doing with baggers, everybody's got risers and T-bars. That's not what I have here, but essentially it's doing the same thing with these LA Choppers hammerhead bars. And that's because that's the way these bars are designed. I mean, they put you right at the same width and height, depending on what you need, as a set of T-bars would. And yet it's still, at least in my opinion, retains some of that classic, Harley look, in a sense, as opposed to putting T-bars on everything. So, but that's just me. So, again, do I keep doing what I'm doing? Or should I consider making this thing more of a performance tourer? Because I have the Street Bob now for, around town hopping and just some hooligan shit, right? That's not to say I don't love riding this motorcycle anymore. I do. It's very different in a lot of ways, and maybe that's a video for another time. But essentially, they're doing the same thing, but this has the option to do more as far as touring capabilities and the creature comforts that come with that, right? So I used to have Santoro Fabworks crash bars on the front, and after dropping the bike, they were bent up, but they did their job flawlessly, and I would have no problem buying another set and putting these on in a minute. But then going to thinking okay, well, maybe this is an opportunity to do something different, try something different. I mentioned in an earlier video possible hard lowers, and that's not everybody's cup of tea. It's certainly not the most attractive thing to a lot of people, and some people love them. I'm on the fence either way, but I like the functionality of it, and especially when we're talking more of a performance tourer when it comes to long distance rides, protecting your legs from rocks and weather. This is more so than the other bike, my daily rider. So going to work, whatever, getting caught in the rain, there's certainly a benefit to lowers, right? So again, that's what I was thinking. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on the matter. Just leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about the bikes. What you'd like to see go on with this bike, because I've still got a lot of things I still want to do to this bike. I'm gonna drop some suspension in the front to match the Legends in the rear. A couple more along the aesthetic lines of changes that I'm going to be doing. So along those lines, and during the process, it's good to have a plan. It's good to know exactly, or as close to exactly as what you're looking to get into, and it just prevents buying multiple parts of the same thing, later on, because you change something else and now part A no longer fits or looks the part, whatever the case may be. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to drop a quick video. I know it's a little late, but I got a couple of projects going on, and I'm just waiting on a couple of parts, and then we're going to get right back into things. So appreciate you guys stopping by. Please consider liking and subscribing. And as always, stay safe, and I'll catch you on the next one.